students, everyone should keep in mind that the money allocated collectively is one single pool, right? And hence the ministries that can work hand in hand. For instance, uh, we can at one point argue that, well, if more money is allocated to the law ministry in order that there would be a better dispensation of justice, then automatically the commerce industry is bound to benefit, right? Or similarly, if, for instance, the water and power ministry could argue that, well, if more money is allocated to them and energy needs are met, then perhaps the commerce industry, the other relevant ministries could benefit. The agriculture and livestock ministry would benefit. Somehow make your arguments in connection and in relevance to other ministries so that you may automatically gain support. All right? Yes, thank you.
We have we have another observer who would like to speak to the same page.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Members of Parliament, I was watching your comments and your arguments with great interest, and I came up with some of the things which you guys might have overlooked in your debate. First of all, as the Honorable Observer rightly specified, that you all have one pool to take out money from, right? So you have to use that pool very rationally and very, very smartly. So one thing that so you can also propose things that you want your budget to cut down on. The, the budget debate doesn't only mean that you want an increase and an increase and an increase. You can also have a decrease in some of the areas where you feel that is wasting. I'll just specify a few for the further efficiency of this house. One of the things that we spend a lot of money on, especially particularly the Interior Ministry, is the security, the armed personnel and the entourage and the political entourage. So you guys can come up with a working paper saying that, you know, we want a reduction in the security personnel and in the expenses that all these ministers take. Also, you guys can focus on the IMF and the World Bank. Why do I say so? Because Pakistan pays a lot of money per year on debt servicing. Now that takes a huge chunk out of our budget. So you can also focus and come up with it's okay if you don't want to focus on that, but you can come up with recommendations as to how to decrease or to rather to pay our debt servicing and also to come up with a good budget for the nation. Also, as rightly specified by the observer before me, you can come up with an anti-corruption regulation or a more transparent, or a body which actually looks after all these, or if there's an existing body, you can suggest that, you know, that existing body becomes more efficient. So as to the budget that you guys are allocated, that actually goes down and does impact the average person. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The meeting will now come to order. I call for a motion from the members of this assembly to discuss the budget further, defense.
Motion to resume debate.
Is there anyone to second the motion? Defense to speak.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I have no idea why before the recess everybody was targeting the poor Ministry of Defense. But a friend, a fellow colleague from the Ministry of Development apparently seems to be very good at counting. Counted from 99 to 2011. That is 12 years since the last war has been fought. But unfortunately, he forgot to count backwards. From 1948 to 1965, from 1965 to 1971, and from 1971 to 1999. Honorable Chair, we are in no circumstance safe from risk of wars. And Honorable Chair, furthermore, I will be coming to solutions later. I just need to clarify why we deserve increment in the budget. Honorable Chair, why do the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Interior need an increment in their budget? They're already making a lot by issuing illegal visas and illegal security clearances. Honorable Chair, furthermore, we should be very relieved that India our neighbor, our hostile neighbor, is a nuclear weapon state. And we should be further relieved that it has not signed the NPT yet, the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Health.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Health is pretty sure that no ministry sitting in this parliament, even this, and in fact, no individual sitting in this parliament, in fact, the Speaker himself, will not approve of an increase in budget for the health sector. This is because the health is not an isolated phenomenon, and the responsibility for its improvement devolves on the shoulder of everyone. Like I said before, that through improvements in health sector, it is our own security that is being guaranteed. Also, Honorable Speaker, we need to look out of the shell. It is you and I who are getting benefits, health benefits. But the 73% of the population of Pakistan is deprived of that health privilege. They're not getting proper health facilities. They're not getting health funds. They have to pay out of their pockets. How can we be so selfish and callous of not even considering them? The funds that they need, the funds that we need for health sector to improve them. Now let's look at some statistics. If you look at doctor population ratio in Pakistan, there's only one doctor for every 1,326 patients. There's one nurse for every 22,662 patients. 39% of women do not receive any prenatal care. 61% of women do not have access to skilled birth attendants. 94 out of 1,000 children in Pakistan die before they're born, and in fact, before they turn 5 as well. Honorable Speaker, such shocking statistics reflect the low rate of public investment in the health sector. And here we are talking about their defense and education. Thank you.
How do you intend to send doctors to the villages?
If we will be having doctors, we will send them to, we do not have enough doctors, we do not have enough colleges filled with doctors. We lack in medical colleges in Pakistan.
Doctors might not, if they might not be willing to go to the villages.
There are doctors, there are
you
people
need
who
to come up with a plan in that.
There are people who are not callous enough. They're willing to work and go and work. Doctors become doctors because they want to serve people. So that's the point. They will in fact go.
All right. Education.
Can I make a point? Like, excuse me, I just want to continue.
Yes.
If we provide them proper facilities in those rural areas, they will in fact be willing to going over there.
Okay. Education and then them.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As stated by the Communication Ministry earlier, that health and education would not be affected by the next coming decade. We, the Education Ministry, disagree, as we believe that the money allotted to Communication Ministry during the Musharraf era was wasted, and that if that amount of money would have been allotted to the Education Ministry, then this sector wouldn't have been waiting till now. Instead, would have already brought about a change. Thank you.
One thing that I do not understand is, what's the point of protecting our country externally from the invaders when our people are dying internally from starving and lack of resources that they need? What's the point of all these aids? 452 billion allocated to the military and only 10 billion allocated to the health, to the sector of agriculture, food, and livestock. Three sectors collectively are getting $10 billion, while while only a single sector is getting 452 billion. This is so unfair. And moreover, we are letting our workers, by starving them and by letting a huge sum of willing workers linger and wander here and there in search of work and employment. And don't forget the mental pressure these people have on their frail shoulders of how to support these families and how to lead them to a decent living. Thank you.
What do you recommend, Ministry of Agriculture? What do you recommend?
I recommend that livestock, as you saw, the flood, like we are already short on budget, and the flood devastated everything. You saw cattle.
What do you recommend?
Yes.
What do you recommend?
I recommend that there should be an increase to about 10% in the budget of all the three sectors collectively. We are not just saying
For
that.
what?
For the improvement in the agriculture reforms, like technology. We need good technology in agriculture. Like farmers cannot, like carry all the load themselves.
Is the rural farmer equipped enough to use the technology?
No,
if
they are not
provided?
equipped enough to use the technology. That's why we use machine. That's why we need
should the
machines.
education
And for
department do
that we
something?
need education.
Please maintain the decorum of the session.
That's why we need the help of the education itself, because without the education, our farmers cannot just run
Okay.
all the machineries. Thank you.
Training, a skilled-oriented
training.
curriculum. Science and technology, why not give the money to you to increase the yield?
The Ministry of Science and Technology has been emphasizing on that point since the start of the session, that why not allocate the money to us. First of all, I would like to talk to the Ministry of Agriculture, and I would like to tell them that the first thing a country that needs to protect is its sovereignty and external threats, not the internal threats. They come later on. You need to protect the sovereignty, so I would like to agree with the Minister of Defense on that basis, which is right, because you need to protect the sovereignty of your country at all costs, no matter what internal threats that you are. This is the basic law of international relations. The second thing is that I would also disagree with the Ministry of Defense, is that the risk of war is a very credible threat, but we are not in a war of arms anymore, but we are in a war of science, development, technology, economics, and trade. The socio-economic war is being waged, and we see India and China leading it. Why not Pakistan? We need science and technology to be the main proponents. Why should Pakistan be a part of the war which requires arms and ammunition, and why not socio and economic means, which is actually leading the world today? The Institute of Science and Technology advocates that an increase in budget can aid trade and agriculture. Each ministry falls back on us, so I would like to thank the Honorable Speaker for bringing forth that question. We would like to ask the House that question: why not give that money to us so that we can help you in return? Thank you.
A conjoint strategy should thus be formed between all these diverse sectors, and to show the interrelation as far as the working papers are concerned. Education.
Thank you, sir. As stated by the health minister, that we need awareness of diseases, but how will awareness be created if there is no basic education? In rural areas, how will diseases be made aware if there are no basic education? If there are no proper doctors, then how will they go and educate people there? Secondly, sir, as seen as Pakistan comes in the lowest countries in the education index, excluding Africa, for the primary school enrollment. Throughout South Asia, average primary school enrollment is pulled down because of Pakistan, the only country which is throughout South Asia with the lowest enrollment rate. Therefore, sir, I would request that make primary school enrollments free for children in rural areas, provide free books, provide free training sessions for teachers, make them aware of how to educate these people there. If education prevails, then only will proper doctors be able to make diseases aware, proper technology will be aware, proper law and order situations will prevail throughout the country.
Law and justice.
The law, justice, and human rights sector would like to give certain recommendations as to where the budget can be cut down. The cabinet division can have, I know the cabinet division is not present over here, but what I thought was that cabinet mission could have a cut in it, because the cabinet, most of the money in the cabinet division basically gets lost in all the transparency issues, and basically, so the cabinet division money should be further reallocated to other sectors. I'm not only saying law and justice.
In totality.
Sorry.
Completely.
Not completely. Part of it can be cut down because it is allocated 3618.7 million for the cabinet division, and most of the money does get lost in bureaucracy. So that money, the money that actually remains, can be set down for transparencies issues. Also, why the law and justice needs more budget allocation is because in rural areas there are basically no courts, and we need proper allocation for this. Also, there are no proper computerization in courts, so we would like to ally ourselves with the Science and Technology Department that they can provide us with the latest technology. Also, awareness is one of the main issues, and so therefore we need the help of the education sector to spread awareness of the laws and law system in Pakistan. Also, mobility in rural areas is also a problem. Even if there are no courts in rural areas, what we can do is that a woman, for example, if she is facing domestic violence, she won't like come all the way to an urban area, and she will be restricted because of mobility reasons. So the communication department can actually help us with that. Thank you very much.
Communication.
I would like to extend my view from the health department, which I would like to state that the health department suggested that we need more doctors in the rural areas. But how they would manage that without communication is my question to them. Without an increase in the budget for the communication department, they do not have the necessary resources to send the doctors to the rural areas for now. Further, I would like to align, we would like to align ourselves with many other ministers and agree that they should have a higher proportion of the budget. But the only way the health sector can provide medical assistance and awareness to the masses through communication passages. The education sector can only provide education to everyone if it has a means to propagate it through the communications department. Tourism can only be expanded if there's a way to communicate it through the communications department. In order for all these different ministries to function, they need proper infrastructure and means to communicate. So they require the assistance of our department, of our ministry to help us, to help this come about. This is especially important with the recent floods and the devastation they have caused, which is why we need a further increase because we have suffered majorly due to the floods. The infrastructure has lost a lot. I have some statistics here. That means that 973 kilometers of roads and 46 bridges, for which we need 22.4 billion rupees. And basically, much of what we did work towards has been destroyed by the floods. So I would, that's me supporting the point about how the money we received in the Musharraf era. Thank you.
Thank you, respected Chair. I speak on behalf of Women Development, Ministry of Women Development. I would like to ask for an increment in our budget in order for the women of the society to survive. If there won't be any educated, healthy, and aware women, how will the country prosper? Hence, we ask for an increase of minimum of 5% in our budget for the women development and for the betterment of our country. Also, I would like to address to the Ministry of Justice. They stated a point previously on which I would like to ask them, if they say that justice is necessary, then why is there discrimination and why are women being demotivated? Why are the rights being neglected? Although the Constitution covers that no discrimination to be done as stated in Article 25, subsection 2, then why is there discrimination between men and women? Thank you, that's it.
The papers that you're working on, we want you to prepare these recommendations, practical recommendations or practical steps that each department ministry is willing to take. We want a conjoined paper, and please send it to me right here on this table during the debate. You all should be working on that too. No, one second. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, before this House gets into a unmoderated caucus, the Ministry of Water and Power would like to highlight the significance of dams and its benefits for Pakistan. I would like to assure this August House that the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, Defence, Trade, Environment, Health, Education, Science and Technology all would benefit from the construction of dams, as it would provide water and power at very low rates, as the cost of production would reduce, the inflow of foreign exchange as well as through investments and exports would increase. Also, the agricultural sector would benefit, and the inflation in basic necessities, foods, crops would be reduced, and the prices could also be reduced. Similarly, there would also be a lot of job opportunities which would be created when the construction of big dams is carried out in Pakistan. So the job opportunities and the per capita income is also to increase. So I recommend that the construction of dams should be taken seriously, so that the country and the ministry also benefits.
Sir, you should specify what kinds of
The
dams.
large dams, Kalabagh Dam
Large
basically.
dams.
And we would like to, the political consensus, political parties to reach a consensus because it's economically a very viable solution, but due to political differences amongst provinces, it has become so, the differences have gained so much of importance and have become egoistic issues that the thing which is necessary for the country and which can benefit the people of the country is not being carried out for the past so many years, as there's a lot of infrastructure also present at Kalabagh which is to be used for the construction. Thank you.
Yes, health.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Now, first of all, the Ministry of Health would like to answer the question raised by Ministry of Communication that they're asking for doctors in rural areas, but they're not, they cannot do it without proper communication. Ministry of Health already pointed out in its previous speech that we need infrastructure and proper communication facilities for that. Now, the fact we all need to realize over here is that we all, the ministry sitting here are interlinked. Better education, better health, better education. Our labor force increases, our productivity increases, our economy grows better. We have a strong economy. Now, what we need to see is ways in which the budget of Pakistan can increase so that all of us can have more increase in all the sectors. One of the ways is that we need to cut down imports on the luxury items. Pakistan is importing much of Pakistan's imports for luxury items which are of no use. We need to, import items for capital investment, because if we import, in the short run, we will be having a debt, but in the long run, it will pay us off. Second of all, Pakistan has an unlimited amount of natural resources that are not exploited. Along with the borders of India, in the northern areas, we have a plenty amount of resources that are not exploited. We have a plenty amount of labor force that's unemployed. We need to employ that labor force to exploit those resources. We need to import capital investment goods so that those capital investment goods are used in those areas so that our budget increases. Pakistan has a strong economy. That's all we can do.
Planning and development to speak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I would like to address the Foreign Minister and tell him that the Planning and Development Ministry is very much present in the Assembly. And now coming to the Defense Minister, I would disagree to what they say. What they refer to as the state of war is the assumed state of war they have. Because if Pakistan in the present situation was in a state of war where such economic, political crisis prevail in the country, even if 50% of the federal budget is allotted to the Defense Ministry, they will not be able to help Pakistan survive. Now, coming back to the Planning and Development Ministry, we've already asked in our stance to the respected chairperson that we need an increase in the budget, because health without hospitals and laboratories, education without schools and colleges, sports without sports complexes and stadiums, and water without dams and barrages is not possible. I therefore request for an increase in the budget in order to enable the planning and development industry to help the other related industries and by extension Pakistan to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Firstly, I would like to make one thing clear. The Defense Ministry, they are not the poor Defense Ministry as they earlier stated. It is the people of Pakistan who are poor and they're actually suffering because of them. Secondly, I would like to state that the Sri Lankan cricket team attack in March 2009 has badly affected the cricket sports in Pakistan actually, and as well as we all know that Pakistan was one of the host teams for World Cup 2011, but due to uncertain security reasons it could not be held here. So now I would like to raise a question to the Defense Ministry that who is responsible for such situations in Pakistan. And secondly, I would request the Defense Ministry to work hand in hand with the Sports Ministry to encourage sports in Pakistan. Through this, we can actually allow the concept of peace through sports to work more effectively, especially in a country like Pakistan. And moreover, I would request the Educational Ministry to help the Sports Ministry to encourage sports in schools and colleges to bring the talent of the youth, as today's youth is the future of tomorrow. Thank you.
We will assume that the Interior Ministry was listening to that, and security is their responsibility because they have highlighted that the World Cup could not be hosted. Defense.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll be coming to solutions in just a moment, and I assure you that you will be receiving great recommendations from us. But first things first, in reply to my fellow colleague, they just their comrades, the Ministry of Interior, I don't know if they know that it is a subject of the Ministry of Interior to provide security to the Sri Lankan team or the diplomats they are working here. I don't know why she wants us to work hand in hand with the sports ministry. She wants to hold cricket matches in the barracks, maybe, I don't know. But
Defense.
Honorable Chair, sorry.
Inappropriate. Out of order. Please be seated. Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Right now, since we have come to, we are now drawing closer and closer to conclusions, I would just like to make some, what I believe is some realistic recommendations for the Foreign Affairs Ministry. We believe that our budget should be increased by 50% because the 50% of what we already receive. The reason is that there are some more issues that we have to highlight. Number one, we need to we need to renovate the embassies located in the Pakistani embassies in the Middle East. Then there are some markets in which we have to establish, in South Africa, in which we have to establish market. And other than that, there needs to be some action taken against the human rights violations in the Middle East against Pakistanis. Other than that, I would also like to say that earlier the Honorable Defense Minister pointed out that there is a lot of corruption in the Foreign Ministry. I would just like to point out that many times developmental projects, healthcare projects, and many other projects are handed over to the Pakistan Army. But many officers on the lower level eat that money up. That accounts to around more than 10 million rupees every year. And therefore, I would just like to remind this committee that we are here to collaborate and work towards solutions, not to simply highlight, put accusations on one another, because that will lead to nothing and has never led to anything. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Foreign Affairs has made it clear that transparency should exist as part of their claim. We have...
Dear George, I want to state that the environment is the basic sector, and which is the basic sector we should invest, and the good environment will call the people to invest more in the country, which will increase our GDP and the lifestyle. Moreover, I want to support my health sector, which I want budget should be increased so that the healthy environment should bring the more people inside our environment as well.
What recommendations will the Commerce Ministry present on much talk that has been done on economic affairs as well?
One thing that every ministry is neglecting over here is that poverty elevation, which can be done through creating employment that comes under the mandate of Commerce Ministry. And secondly, the sector that is being neglected over here is the commercial sector in Pakistan, which is severely unfunded. Pakistan has a geostrategic position that is ideal for trade. And by trade, I don't mean trading F-16s and G3s, mind it. I mean trade of goods that are beneficial to uplift the economy, that actually create... All right. This is because, a reason for that, it is because of our instability. Dubai is now becoming a commercial hub for the commercial activities around the world, just because of our inability. Even if we have problems with trading with foreign countries, we have a 170 billion population. That means we have a 170 billion buying power to earn within our own economy. Even if we have problems by trading IMF, I know most of us would object on that. We have a market.
What practical steps are you willing to take?
I think our budget should be increased by 100%.
Why?
Because we are severely unfunded. We have our budget.
What are your plans?
Budget.
Your recommendations or your plans which you can implement?
Our plans is that we should take, by increasing this budget, we will take part in most of the trading deals around the world. We should invest in R&D, like I mentioned earlier. That would create a market for our products around the globe.
The order of the session must be respected.
Thank you. That's it.
No, what I want to ask you is that how do you intend to increase the purchasing power of the 200 million people you have mentioned Because you said there can
Yes,
be,
yes.
an internal
Because
purchasing power.
ultimately our local market, that the Pakistani products, that if they are supplied to our own producers and our own consumers, that will create something that will automatically, they will have a purchasing power because of their low cost, and obviously they're not going to directly compete with the foreign products, but obviously we should give our local economy a chance to grow.
Okay. Health, education, defense.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Ministry of Health would like to move on and would urge the House to move forward, and rather than pointing other ministries, should find and take steps to solve the faults in their own ministry. Starting with this, as said by our two respectable observers, the biggest problem that our country faces is corruption. The government needs to pay attention. The government needs to pay attention to address the issue of corruption in the health sector, for the singular reason that this is one of the key impediments to the impact of well-intentioned spending on health systems, performance, and health outcomes. If health systems are not governed well, particularly in terms of lack of transparency and accountability, and or mismanaged, they become inefficient on the one hand and allow the emergence of attitudes where there are no consequences for those who mismanage or corrupt the system. As a result, workers are absent, patients pay illegal fees, and inputs are stolen. This compromises public investments in a highly constrained environment. Therefore, Ministry of Health demands an increment in the budget of Interior and subsequently National Accountability Bureau so that they could take steps and control corruption. Thank you.
Education.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As stated by the Women Welfare, they said that discrimination is being held in Pakistan. That is because the people are not aware. They're not educated. They don't know what their rights are. That is why they discriminate. If rural areas and tribal areas are given education, they would not be discriminated. Moreover, lack of education is also the main cause for the disturbance in the economic sector. As people are not educationally qualified, they're unable to run business appropriately. When they face a crisis in their business, they're forced to shut down because they lack the ability to identify the reason of loss. In today's global world, education is required to enhance, otherwise we'll not be able to promote our industries. The education sector has has reached some of the steps that should be taken. Firstly, awareness campaigns should be initiated so that the public, especially from the rural and tribal areas, should send both their sons and daughters to school rather than to work, so that they know the importance of education. Secondly, the root of social and ideological problem is lack of education again. People with vested interest target the illiterate for defaming Islam and our society. This happens because people don't have the capability to distinguish between right and wrong. So we can easily analyze that the basic problem the basic issue and the basic solution we can reach is that education should prevail in Pakistan. If education prevails, all the problems would be sorted out. Thank you.
Defense, water and power, science and technology.
Surely, the members of this House do not want to make cuts in the defense budget. Honorable Chair, a fellow colleague said that the nation is starving because of providing budget to the Ministry of Defense. That is not the reason, I believe. I believe that between the farmer and the common man lies a middleman, Honorable Chair. And in my opinion, that middleman is the reason for the starving nation. And I would like to agree with the point made by the people of Ministry of Health that there is a lot of corruption in many institutions, although in their own as well, but nevertheless, I would like to agree with them. And Honorable Chair, the Ministry of Defense believes that an anti-corruption code should be formed, and the anti-corruption bill lying in the National Assembly should be reformed and should be passed immediately, so to free the country of this crisis. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to highlight the issue that, as my colleague earlier highlighted the issue of transparency, So I would just like to extend that point. And recently, an Auditor General's report, Auditor General of Pakistan's report, which clearly stated that about 7 to 800 billion rupees there's a leakage of 7 to 800 billion rupees in Federal Board of Revenue every year because of corruption purposes. So I would like to move a motion, to propose a motion to vote on the construction of dams and Kalabagh. Through that, if that money if that corruption is stopped, that money should be diverted to the Ministry of Water and Power so that the construction of dams, particularly the larger dams, Kalabagh Dam and Dayamir Bhasha Dam, should be carried on emergency basis. Thank you. And we propose the motion.
Motion has been proposed, but before that, we need to vote on what we were discussing before that. Just before your point. We have been trying to come up with a cooperative strategy between different ministries. That is what we were doing. Science and technology needs to speak. After that, we vote on that, and then we come to your motion. Yes, ma'am.
We as the Ministry of Science and Technology would again like to agree with the Honorable Speaker and say that we have bashed each other enough. We have talked about our shortcomings, we have talked about our advantages. It is no longer, I don't think that we should now, as in not waste time, but we should now no longer talk about each other, or we should not try to, bash each other, but instead we should try to bring about collaborative measures so that we can come to a working paper or policies that could be implemented for our nation, for us to further our nation as one, not as different ministries that sit today. So what I would like to say is that as the Ministry of Science and Technology would like to put forth the rapid economic development which could benefit the Ministry of Economics, and we could increase living standards by technological advancement. We need institutions of science development in science fields. We need scientific universities. In development works and projects, we would like to extend our cooperation to the Ministry of Water and Power. We need to promote applied research. We need to utilize our resources and research abroad and at home. We need to coordinate manpower international, and we need to bring forth international barter of scientific research. We need ventures. We need establishment, and we need to venture capitals and technical. We need to promote our technology to bring foreign investment into our country, and for that we can collaborate with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. We need renewable resources, which again we would like to extend our collaboration with the Ministry of Water and Power and Water. For education, again, the development of scientific fields and scientific universities, we could extend our collaboration with the Ministry of Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Health could benefit from us when we could put forth development workable projects, and then we can in this different way that all in the points that I have just stated, that we can benefit all other that we can benefit with each other. Each ministry can pinpoint the policies that I have put forth and the recommendations of what I have recommendations that I have just suggested, and this also emphasizes our importance as the Ministry of Science and Technology and importance of collaboration. I would like to put forward a motion to discuss mutual collaboration and mutual cooperation, not bashing each other as we have been doing since the start of the session. Thank you, Chair.
As far as the working paper that is concerned, the member of the assembly has also made it clear, and we have to vote on it, that all those in favor of this working paper, which should have practical strategies that can be implemented, to raise their hands to vote right now. All those in favor of this? You want to submit the working papers tomorrow?
So that we can have a better...
Please raise a motion.
I would like to move a motion for the working papers to be submitted tomorrow so that we can have a better collaboration in the working papers, better amalgamation, and we can come up with a better working paper. Thank you.
Is there a second to the motion? Clearly passes. The papers will be submitted tomorrow. We come to the second motion raised by the Water and Power Ministry. All those in favor of their motion to construct large dams, particularly the Kalabagh Dam, ministers? Large dams, a motion. All those in favor of the motion raised by the Water and Power Ministry for the construction of large dams, Kalabagh, the Amir and Bhasha Dam. All those in favor, please vote. It passes, I think. The motion passes. Defense, point of inquiry.
Honorable Chair, it is a very controversial topic, and there are different ministries sitting here. These are not representatives of the provinces. And the conflict is between the different provinces, not between different ministries, Honorable Chair, mind that.
Defense, are you raising an amendment to the motion?
Honorable Chair, I would like to amend the motion and make it that we need to depoliticize the making of the different dams, large
Is
dams.
your amendment suggesting that this issue not be discussed in the assembly?
No. It should be. It should be depoliticized, and unanimously dams should be built.
Water and Power.
The Ministry of Water and Power would like to clarify that we've already said that we do not want a politicized involvement in the making of the Kalabagh dams. Instead, we want the federal government to take notice of these two issues, the Kalabagh Dam and the Diamir Bhasha Dam, because unless and until we have a transparent building of these dams, the people of Pakistan will never be able to benefit from the construction of these dams. And the construction of these dams would help enhance the people's accessibility to water, sanitation, and it would help people grow and develop. Economic development would increase because the agricultural department and the health department and every other department would benefit, including defense. So I would like to propose that defense not. It's a strategic. Thank you, Asif. It's a strategic edge that we will get because India, as we have seen, our neighbors and our very hostile neighbors, as defense has added a few times, has built dams and has cut down water supply in a few of the rivers that are also providing water to Pakistan. So therefore, I think Pakistan should also benefit from the water that we have and the hydro potential that we have. And therefore, the building of these dams should be done as soon as possible. And this construction should be non-politicized and should be by the federal government and not by the provincial governments. And the provincial government's motions on these should be overrun by the federal government.
Agriculture.
In the last year budget, it was proposed that 3 dams would be built next year, but we didn't see any dam. So my point is that the dams are so important for a country, and especially for the agriculture sector, as our crops are highly dependent on water. And moreover, India is cutting our water. So we really need good and huge dams for the agriculture. Even the obvious decline in the economic contribution of agriculture in Pakistan, it remains to be an important sector and may still improve in the future. This is possible because of the fact that 25% of Pakistan lands is under cultivation and is still watered by the national irrigation. Pakistan has the largest irrigation system in the world to supply its agriculture sector. This is because the huge dependence of Pakistan to the agriculture sector in the past decade. So dams are really important for a country. Thank you.
It was very kind of Mr. Muiz Ahmed to come here, spend 3 hours with us, and share his thoughts, give us recommendations, guide all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Planning and Development.
3 dams they're complaining that could not be built, and they have not been helping the agriculture department. That's what I've been saying, that the Ministry of Development and Planning needs an increase in the budget. And also same goes for the water department, water ministry. That same problem exists because the budget is too low as it was supposed to be and what is forecasted by the ministry. Thank you.
Are those the concerns of the Water and Power Ministry? Then we've dealt with them, I suppose. Interior?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Ministry of Interior has noted that there are a lot of sectors who are in fact rather asking why defense and the Interior Ministry need funds when there's no visual progress taking place.
Madam Minister, the motion raised by the Water and Power Department is still in place. They were talking about their dams.
I actually have...
Does the Interior Ministry have something to share on that?
No, I actually have a recommendation for like cut down on the budgets. Are we-
Cut down on the budget.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then you want to go back to the previous
Yes,
question.
is that possible?
Granted.
Because we only have a few minutes left.
Granted. Bole.
So for this reason, we do have a proposal, as said by the sports ministry. But the thing that they brought up is actually related to the Interior Ministry, and for that we do have a suggestion. We would, in accordance with the VIP movements, we would like to cut down some of our budgets and rather recycle that funding throughout our sector, and instead of the movement of the very important persons, we would rather employ that funding and use that in the training facilities of police officers and various other special task forces groups. We would also like to set up an anti-corruption cell, and we don't need an increase in the budget from this. We would rather just recycle the previous funding and use it from the VIP movement budget.
Okay. Done. Environment.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to represent one of the environmental issue, which is water pollution nowadays. Additionally, here I support health ministry. Additionally, only 3 major sewage treatment plants exist in the country. 2 of them operate intermittently. Much of the untreated sewage goes into irrigation system. And other important issue is the contamination of shallow groundwater near urban industries that discharge waste directly into the ground. Water in Karachi is so contaminated that almost all residents boil it before consuming it, because sewerage and water lines have been laid side by side in most part of the city. Leakage is the main cause of contamination. Therefore, we want more sewage treatment plants to exist in the country, and our budget would be our budget should be increased by at least 10%.